What is up, Eat Squad? How you guys doing today? If you did not know, I am Anglia Grace, and this is Anglia Eats, and today I'm going to show you guys how to make my Angelia's sweet and spicy seafood sauce. So to start, you need your ingredients, and you also need like a medium saucepan. It just depends on how much of it that you plan on making. I'm only going to make a small amount in the video, but I'll have the big batch ingredients in the description down below. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up just for being here and for me actually getting this video done for you guys. So to start, you're going to need onion. I use red onion, but you can use any kind of onion that you want. To be honest, it's your preference. This is sweet unsalted butter. We're not going to use the whole stick. We'll probably use anywhere between 3 to 4 tablespoons, which would equal 1/4 cup of butter. You need lemon pepper. You need chili garlic sauce. Now this can be found usually in the international aisle or the Asian aisle of your local grocery store. You need honey. I use pure clover honey, but if you use raw honey, that's okay too. Minced garlic. Lemon juice. Now you can use fresh lemons, but I like from concentrate. It's a little bit stronger of a lemon flavor. Honey sriracha seasoning. Now this seasoning, you can get this either at Sam's Club. I've gotten it from my grocery store before. But if not, I'll have the link for Amazon in the description down below where you can get the honey sriracha seasoning. And of course, you'll just need garlic powder, onion powder, pickled ginger. Now I like the sushi pickled ginger. It doesn't have to be pink. Not all of them are pink. Some of them are just the regular opaque white of the ginger, but you basically need pickled ginger. And you also need chicken broth. So to start, we're going to go ahead and turn our pan on. I have it on about a medium heat. And we're going to go ahead and get our butter melted. So I'm going to go ahead and just put this in here. Now I just took this butter out the freezer because I forgot to take some down last night, but we're going to go ahead and put that in there. And we're just going to melt that down. Now, as far as your onion, you can put however much in there that you like. I'm probably only going to do like 1/4 of this onion. Alright, so to cut your onion, I cut them just like this. Not too thick, but I like the taste of onion, so I'll probably keep mine like this. You can cut yours to the thickness that you choose. So we're just going to stir this around a little bit. Now, this looks like a lot of butter to start, but it honestly is not a whole lot, to be quite honest. Because you have to think we're still going to put the onions in there and everything. So while the butter is still melting, go ahead and throw your onion in there. And you're going to go ahead with your minced garlic, and you're going to put some of that in there as well. Now, I like garlic, so I'm using a half tablespoon. But again, I like the flavor of it. Okay. And you're just going to stir it up in there. Okay. So now we're going to take our pickled ginger, which again, how much ginger you put in there is your preference, to be honest. I don't put a whole bunch, but the other secret that I do is I put 1 teaspoon of the pickling juice. I put that in our pot. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and let this continue to kind of meld together for a little bit. Stir it up. Now your heat, at this point, you're going to take it down to medium-low. You don't really need all of that on there. And we're going to start putting in our wet ingredients. For our wet ingredients, we're going to put in 1/4 cup of chicken broth. Okay. And we're going to put in an equal amount of lemon juice. Now, if you're using actual lemons, you can do 1 whole lemon or half. But again, I'm making this how I normally eat it. Okay, and you see, like, as you cook your onions, they'll start to begin to get translucent. So you're just going to keep them in there, stir it up. And as you see, our sauce has already, the quantity of it has already tripled. Or doubled, really, it doubled. Alright, so now I like heat. So for your chili garlic sauce, I say add it in as add a teaspoon at a time. But for me, I like heat, so I'm going to do a half tablespoon at a time. And that's where the color from the sauce comes from. It comes from the seasonings in it. And now we're going to go ahead and go through and we're going to put in the rest of our seasonings. So, lemon pepper. This is 1 teaspoon that we're going to do. Garlic powder. Onion powder. And your honey sriracha seasoning. And we're going to go ahead and stir this up. And you see as we stir, it's getting the red color. It's getting richer and richer in there. And that's how you know your seasonings are dissolving into your sauce. to start with the honey, I do about a teaspoon to start, but I eyeball it, so I would recommend eyeballing yours too. That way you can control the sweetness on it. Alright, so I'm gonna get a tasting spoon so I know what else to add to it. So usually with that, I stir it up a little bit with the tasting spoon. Just get a little bit of it on there. And it's still a little tart, so I'm gonna put just a little bit more of honey in there. And it's also not as spicy as I like, so I'm gonna move it up at this point with another half tablespoon of the chili garlic. So now I'm on a tablespoon. And then the honey sriracha, I'm gonna add another teaspoon in there. And we're just gonna stir it up again. Now, if you're making this for people, definitely have multiple tasting spoons. Like, you need multiple. You don't double dip your tasting spoon. And you're just gonna stir it around. Stir it, stir it, stir it, stir it. And you're just gonna let this cook. Now, the longer you let this cook on the stove, the more the flavors will develop for you guys. But I just stir with a spatula. I don't use a spoon or a metal spoon. I don't like metal in my pots, so I use plastic. Okay, and we're gonna just let this simmer. We're gonna turn the heat back up to medium, and we're gonna let that simmer for about 2 to 3 minutes, and then we're gonna turn the heat all the way down on low. Alright, so this is what you're looking for when you want it to simmer. You basically want it to get a nice little boil going on it. And you're gonna, once it comes up to that boil, you're gonna stir it again. And you notice, like, as it cooks, the color on it is getting deeper and deeper. So if your color isn't as deep as mine, that's okay. It just means that maybe you didn't let it cook for as long, and you may not have used as many spicy ingredients as I've used in mine. But you're just gonna keep letting it go and keep letting it simmer. And we're gonna turn the heat down to low. Okay, and you're just gonna stir that up. Alright, so as you cook it, you'll notice that your onions and your ginger, they become more translucent, and they'll begin to look a little more like this as you keep going on. Your ginger will look more like that. I'm trying to find a good piece. There it goes. So your ginger would look more like that. That stringy part, you see how all of the dye or the pink is out of it. And you're just going to continue to stir. Now, depending on how long you want to cook this, can stay on the stove anywhere between I recommend leaving it on the stove for at least 15 minutes. If you can do more, up to 3 hours. I usually always have mine on the stove for 2.5 to 3 hours to really allow for those flavors to develop. And then too, I don't have to worry about my sauce being too cold or too hot when I start to use it. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this cook for about 15-20 minutes. I'm gonna just leave it on low, You can stir it occasionally, but as you notice, like you'll see where the butter is at the top of it. You can kind of tell where the butter is just sitting at the top of this, and that's because oil and water, basic viscosity. The oil rises to the top and all of the liquid, all your chicken broth and your lemon juice, all of that is at the bottom. So when you stir it, that's why the color changes. But as you see, like as I stir it, you see how like the color kind of changes. All that stuff from the bottom comes up a little bit. But if that's okay, like that's fine. It's gonna do that. There's nothing that you can do to really stop that from happening unless you use like less butter, which is fine. That's absolutely fine. If you don't want to use any butter with this sauce, that's fine as well. The sauce by itself is good on its own, and it also makes a good broth. So we're just gonna go ahead and just let this cook for 15 more minutes, and then we're gonna get ready to pour. All right, so an important step with this is as it's cooking, you want to make sure you taste it. So you have your tasting spoon, and you just want to make sure you get it like down in there so that a little bit of everything kind of gets on there and you know what the flavors are. And you're just going to taste it. Perfect. And it should have a nice balance of sweet and spicy and a nice little finishing kick to it. And you just stir. All right. So it's been about 15 minutes now. Since the last clip, it's been about 15 minutes. So I'm just going to give this one more stir. And this will be very hot. So I let this cool down for about 5 minutes. I let it cool down in the pot before I transfer it to a glass bowl. Now you don't want to put this in a plastic bowl because all that hot liquid is going to do is just warp your plastic bowl. I put mine in a nice clear bowl, a clear glass bowl, just one of these. You can get it from Dollar Tree. It's not, that's where I got mine from, is Dollar Tree. But when you get your bowl, you want to make sure you get it big enough where it'll actually fit your sauce in there. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes now. So we're just gonna take our sauce and we're gonna start pouring it in the bowl. And I like to use the spatula, the spatula. I like to use it, I feel like I'm saying that wrong, but anywho, I like to use it to get all of the butter residue out of the pan and put it in the bowl, only because I don't want that stuff in my dishwasher. And this is the finished result, guys. So you have your sauce, and you see how the liquid's at the bottom, and that's about all the butter that's in there. But this is how I make my seafood sauce. I hope you guys enjoy. Bye.